back to Old Moon Radio. This is Chris Barenko here with Ian Mills. Our second episode this week, Ian.
Yeah, we're really trying to keep on schedule here.
Yeah, since we missed the last week, we decided to pump two out this week. But we're covering a band that's a little bit different than we've covered thus far. Mumford and Sons. Their new album Rushmere came out this year. And Ian, do you want to talk a little bit about Mumford and Sons?
Sure. I mean, Chris, we're both millennials. Mumford and Sons, folk rock band from London. Lead man Marcus Mumford. Their first two albums, Sigh No More and Babel, that came out in 2009, 2012, respectively, were, massive, um, chart topping albums that got played everywhere. Both made them a very popular band, but also maybe a little bit of a meme in the pop folk rock space, especially in that sort of early 2000 teens era of folk rock. Rushmere is an album that came out in spring of this year. Is their only their fifth studio album.
No, I was surprised to
They
see that too.
Yeah, their first since 2018. A little bit of a band shakeup. They had a member drop out. Um, Marcus Mumford released his own album, self-titled. That's the actual name. It's not Marcus Mumford. It's the album's name is self-titled. In 2022. So they've been involved in some stuff, but this is their first album as a band in 7 years. Um, so I'm curious why you chose to put this album on one of the lists we listened to, just that it came out this year, or what were you thinking?
Yeah, it came out this year, and I had listened to it a couple of times throughout the summer and fall, and I just really enjoyed listening to it, and I thought that would be fun. That would be fun to talk about. Yeah, they came out of the 2000s folk scene in London with Noah and the Whale, Laura Marling, some other artists that I really love. So I really like a lot of bands from this era of like British folk music. But Mumford and Sons is one of the few, like Noah and the Whale's no longer going. Laura Marling's still going. She's very successful. But Mumford and Sons, as you mentioned, is one that kind of blew up into the mainstream. So a lot of people know Mumford and Sons. It's not anything groundbreaking that we're going to be discussing here, but I just thought it would be fun for us to talk about a little bit. Um, Before we get into some of this album, um, I just wanted to point out that I think this is a little bit more of a return to those folk rock roots because they did veer off into like some electric territory with some of their albums. But this feels like kind of a return to the Mumford and Sons that everyone kind of thinks of when they think of the band.
Yeah, so I was curious to see if you had listened to this album before. I guess I'll be upfront that I did not like this album. I don't think it's particularly good. And maybe we can get into specifics in a bit.
Yeah.
But at least what you said, a lot of the reviews that like this album like the fact that it seemed to be more of a return. And I think it was in a couple ways. And the band themselves, when they released the album, said they wanted it to be more of a return to what they had released earlier.
hmm
So that tracks. Um, yeah.
I love that you don't like it and I like it because I think that's going to make for interesting discourse on the tracks. Because as you pointed out last episode with Charlie Crockett, we're trying to approach these albums with a more critical perspective. That way, we're not just glazing over and saying, "Oh yeah, that was a great record, that was a great song." We're trying to actually come to this with uh, our own takes on it. So I like that. Let's get into it. Malibu is the first song. I call this the United Airlines song because I took like two flights this year on United and they played this right when we landed, which is kind of a funny, like, you know how like bands and artists can be branded as like Target music? Like, this is United
Yeah.
Airlines music.
Yeah, that was one of my. So I meant to say when I didn't like this album. I like Marcus Mumford. I like Mumford
Yeah.
and Sons generally. I like Marcus Mumford. I and one of the things when I was listening to this album, I was like, this is gonna be like I felt like this album reinforced a lot of the stereotypes that like people that don't like Mumford and Sons talk about how it's sort of
Mm,
like repetitive and not really dynamic. Um,
yeah,
so it's
that's
funny that you mentioned that because like that's what I feel like a lot of this album is.
yeah,
But we'll get into it. We're not there yet. So
yeah.
Malibu, the first song of this album, I liked a lot. Might be overstating it. I did like it. Um,
Hmm.
This felt like the most similar to Babel or Sigh No More, both
Mm,
albums that I listened to when it came out, like we all did, and liked. So at this point, I was interested in the album.
hmm.
Um, Not necessarily this song specifically, but one of the things I do want to mention because it always bugs me. In the reviews for this album that liked it, they're like, "Oh man, like the banjo on this album's so good. Like this is a return to folk." There is banjo on this song. And
Right.
I chose the song to bring it up specifically because I think it's where the banjo is most prominent. It is a fact that there is banjo on this album. I don't think maybe it's just my bluegrass background.
Right.
It's the most prominent of this song. It exists. It's not even particularly high in the mix, but it does exist. So I think this is my first grievance for the album. A lot of it's like, oh, it's returned to these folk roots. I always like the idea of like, you know, calling this band like Americana. It's like okay, it's like a British band
Sure.
also. It's like funny to call a British band Americana. But anyways, not this song specifically. But I did like this song.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I like this song a lot too. It has some religious undertones, which Mumford and Sons has had throughout their kind of career. But the lyrics such as "In all my doubt and all my weakness, can you lead? I feel spirit move in me again. I'll find peace beneath the shadow of your wings." Definitely, I'm not sure what it's trying to say, but definitely some religious imagery there that I just thought was interesting. Um, but I think this is a stronger song off the album, and it's a good opener because it does start off soft and then it goes into the classic like Mumford and Sons build up with like the more intense vocals. So I thought it was an effective opener. Next song is Caroline, and this is my favorite song off the album. It's pretty poppy, but I still like it a lot. It's produced by Dave Cobb, who is known for his work with Brandy Carlisle and Chris Stapleton. And yeah, I think it's a great folk pop song. It's got a really catchy hook, and I think Marcus Mumford's vocals on it are particularly strong. So, Caroline, I heard this one in the dentist office. So, we went from United Airlines flight to the dentist
Yeah, I
office.
don't think you're selling this very well. Like
But I
it's
like it.
just
I want to make it clear I like this, but what do you think about Caroline?
I'm still on board at this point.
Hmm.
Um, so I think Marcus said this. I honestly have never heard anyone else in the band. So when I say the band, I really just mean or when I hear something from the band, I assume it's Marcus.
Yeah.
He says like sometimes he feels like they don't do albums very well, but when they write albums, they do it for the shows in mind, or maybe not do albums very well, but like write things on albums that like they know like might not be ideal for the studio recording, but like they know like when they play it live, it's what they're gonna want to do.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought this song that sort of mindset was very apparent. Like when I was listening to it the first time, I could definitely imagine them playing it live at a show and the chorus,
Hmm.
the Caroline lines like going like very well to the crowd. Um yeah, and I like the song. I mean
Hmm.
it's like it's good. Like at this point I'm definitely in the aspect of like this is like a pretty average album.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a good song. So I think it's a strong start with Malibu and Caroline. Then we get into Rushmere, which was I think the lead single. Obviously, it's the title track of the album, written by Natalie Hemby and Greg Kurstin. It's very signature Mumford and Sons sounding with the rolling banjo, but as you mentioned, it's just kind of there. It's not like I know what you're saying. I don't know how to articulate it. It's not like a banjo led track. It just kind of
Yeah,
exists.
I
Hmm.
well, I think it's just because I listen to like bluegrass and like
Yes,
maybe
yeah.
maybe more in depth to the genre of folk where there is like good banjo, and it's like in songs that have prominent banjo, it kind of sits on top. And maybe it's just like people that don't listen to that stuff a lot, like the fact
Sure,
that there is banjo is notable. I don't know. I don't think you can be pretentious about, I guess you definitely can be pretentious about bluegrass, but like
sure.
I don't think bluegrass is like particularly cool or it's quite cool to be pretentious about it. I don't know. So I want to be like, do these people not listen to songs with banjo, which like might actually be the case?
Yeah, I
Anyways,
mean,
it's not the first album where that's been like my complaint on it.
right.
Um, but in an album, but the reason why I bring it up is like the a lot of the pros for the album that I saw from people that liked it was like this is like a return to like very good folk, and like it I don't know if it really is like.
Yeah, I still think they're like Sigh No More. That feels more authentically like folk music than this does.
mm, But
So
anyways, I got like a couple things to say about this song.
yeah, yeah,
I'm still on board on this. Um, like you said, the title track, named after a pond where these guys grew up,
yes.
sort of reinforcing the theme of like this is like back to our roots. Like we're going back to like when we first joined and were inspired to make all this music.
Mm-hmm.
This was, I thought, probably the best lyrics on the album. Um, don't don't you miss the breathlessness, the wildness in your eye? Come home late in the morning light, bloodshot dreams under streetlight spells, a
Mm,
truth no one can tell, and I was still a secret to myself. Um, a little shades of what I'll have problems with later in the like in the songs coming up.
mm-hmm.
But I think probably the best lyrics kind of paired with the title of the song in the album of being like a reflection on their childhood and stuff like that. I think this is probably the peak of the album for me, like these first three songs and specifically this song.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's all downhill from here,
I
unfortunately.
I also think the album is top heavy, even though I'm more in on the album than you are. I think it's a top heavy album as well, with the hits being towards the front, and we'll get into that. Monochrome's the next song. I do like the lyrics in this song. The kind of love I'm always chasing is the kind of love that won't be chased. I thought that was good. And then there's again more reference to religion. Your peace, there's Christ beneath in the ground beneath your feet. Um, so again, going back to that religious kind of uh, theme, I guess. But what do you think about this song?
Yeah, I thought this was probably the worst song.
Yeah, that's fair.
I it's just ironic that the song's name is Monochrome. Like I don't know. Like I get like a lot of this stuff are religious references,
Hmm.
but it feels like this is the first song on the album of the trend that I think is throughout the rest of the album where it's just not specific. Like I don't know what we're supposed to get out of this.
Mm.
It feels like dancing around something that might be more interesting. Um, a lot of repetition. Every song, I think, from here on out follows a pattern of the chorus gets repeated twice at the end. And in a 3 minute song, it's like most of the song.
Hmm.
Um, like I don't know. Like it's the everything just seems so vague that I don't know what I'm supposed to engage with.
Hmm.
Hyacinth Girl, like trying to dress up something like hyacinth is a flower.
Yeah, I had to
And
look that up.
yeah, and it's like meant to be like a little like oh like this is like kind of a fancy word, but like I don't know like if you know what that means, I don't know what you're supposed to get out of it.
Hmm. Yeah, I wish I had come to this with a better game plan to defend this album. Because I want to be able to offer the other perspective for people who might be tuning in who are fans of this album because I do like it and I do want to defend it. But that's a good, yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah.
making
So
valid
I mean,
points.
I would be interested to hear if you're watching this, let us know
Hmm.
if you like the album or not. I mean, by all means, it's a popular album. I I was surprised, but like I don't know, like most of the reviews I saw were positive, most like 8 out of 10.
Hmm.
Um, and it gets like all these songs have millions of plays on Spotify. So like
Yeah,
I
but
I don't think it's I don't think I'm being brave in not liking a Mumford and Sons album. Like I don't
no.
think that's like the stand I'm taking, but I also wouldn't expect to be in the majority on this opinion. So
Yeah, I think that's you summed it up good. The next song is Truth. And if you're going to okay, so I've seen memes online, not to just hit Mumford and Sons while they're down here, but I've seen memes online of like chicken and rice and be like, what album does this photo remind you of? And people before like commenting like Mumford and Sons or something, like what artist does this remind you of? Um, but that I'm bringing that up because this next song, Truth, is at least interesting and a departure from kind of that like if you were going to critique it and say it's bland or repetitive folk music, well, folk music, folk pop. Truth at least has some swagger to it. It's got an interesting bass line. It's something a little bit different. I at least think they at least took a swing on this one. What do you think about this song?
it's interesting that you brought up the bass line because I was writing these notes as I was listening to the album for the first time.
Hmm.
And like I was as I was writing, I liked that bass intro and I
Yeah.
was interested in the song, especially like in the context of the full album. For me, like first three songs I liked well enough. The fourth I thought wasn't that great. So at this point on the fifth song, I was still on board, and
Hmm.
I was writing that I liked the bass intro, and then the singing starts, and I'm like, oh well, no. I mean, truly, again, like it's like almost trying to do something.
Right.
I wrote down the verse. You cannot complain if you don't throw a dice yourself. Sit outside the lines, blame everybody else. I refuse to offer myself up to men who lie, spit and sell and smirk out the corner of my eye. Like truly, truly, if you gave me this song, the lyrics, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I mean, this could have been like any given
Hmm.
like charting artists and I'd believe you. Like
Mm.
there's just nothing here that like is particularly compelling, I think. And again, this is another song where the chorus repeats twice at the end and then the song ends I don't know what I'm supposed to be getting out of this.
Yeah. I think it has shades of some of their other albums with some of the electric guitar in it. So it is kind of like a good song in the sense of like it ties them back to some of their other eras, while the rest of the album might be attempting to get back to their roots. Um, but yeah, I think it definitely has the most swagger on the album. I don't think it's not my favorite song, and it's not really a song that I listen to a lot right now. But at least it's something a little bit interesting. Is my take with it there. The next song is Where It Belongs, which is a quick transition back to the slow acoustic vibe, um, a big tonal shift. And this actually, I was high on this song. This gave me, gave Caroline a run for its money for me. Um, I actually think that this is the best writing on the album. Let me pull up some of the lyrics. Yeah, are you really gone? Everyone keeps asking what was the last word. I honestly don't remember. That's the opening of the song. And the reason why I found it compelling is I saw some people online, not to speculate, but I'm going to speculate. Some people online said that this could potentially be about Winston Marshall, who split ways with the band. The band may have split ways with him because of some more controversial stuff. But so looking at it from that angle, I found this song to be particularly interesting. Or if you're just someone who's lost somebody in your life, which we're all human, we all have had people come in and out of our lives. I found that this song was kind of interesting, and a little bit relatable. So I liked this song. What do you think about Where It Belongs?
I didn't like it.
That's totally fine. Tell me why.
I mean like what does this song do? I get it.
Hmm.
And um these next two songs, this one and the next one, I basically have the same notes for. Like it's slow, it repeats
Yeah.
itself. And like what I'm gonna say probably on every song and my takeaway of the album, like it almost gets to something,
Mm.
but it doesn't. Like I'll have comments I like the very end once we finish all the songs individually, of like what my takeaway broadly of it is. But
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Like it's like almost a what is the point? I mean, that it's very interesting if it is about their former member who left a couple years
Mhm.
ago.
I mean, it
Um,
totally might not be. It's just something I was reading
yeah, but
online.
like I mean that's immediately more interesting than anything that I got from the lyrics. And like I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this.
Hmm.
It's a lot of like and this was my I think it's interesting and if I had more time to prepare, I could
Yeah.
maybe contrast it with like Coulter's album that we reviewed. Talk a lot of use of you without establishing who you is. It's interesting when you can kind of connect it to concrete things in the rest of the album, which I don't think
Hmm.
this album does. So like when you say when you blast off into the desert, do you see me on the other side? When you speak, do you think you could do it kindly? Like I don't know what direction we're going. Like I don't know what we're talking about. And when the
Hmm.
song's very slow and repetitive, I don't know what I'm doing here.
I like it, but I totally understand what you're saying. Next song is that I'm the worst. I should not be a lawyer because I can't go to stand for anything. Next song is Anchor, written by Justin James Hayward Young, an English musician who is the lead singer and guitarist of the indie rock band The Vaccines, which I've definitely heard of. I can't pinpoint what songs, but the band is definitely familiar. Um, Anchor is one of the more forgettable ones for me personally. Not to diss Justin James Hayward Young who wrote it, but this one just I find myself having like to re-listen before doing the podcast on this one because I was like, wait, what was that song about again? So I definitely can understand the critiques on this one if you have them.
I mean, I like so like my critiques on this song are the same as the last song, so I won't
Yeah.
repeat it. Like I don't know. Like I get a little bit more about this song. Like the
Mm,
anchor being like something you want to get away from that's weighing you down.
sure.
But that my point is like okay. Like I don't think it's
Mm,
breaking any new ground, which it doesn't need to, but it like at least be interesting, which I don't think it is. So
sure.
like I don't know. Like it just feels like a lot of these songs are to pad like an already short runtime. Like I don't really know what I'm supposed to engage you with here.
Yeah. Next we have Surrender, written by a nine-time Grammy Award winner, Greg Kurstin. And Caitlin Smith, who's an American singer-songwriter who's written songs for Meghan Trainor, Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, Avicii, and Miley Cyrus. So definitely getting that pop influence.
And
Um,
that's another thing I have on this album. There are a billion people on this album.
there
Aaron
are,
Dessner's on this album. Dave Cobb, who'd you mention before? I think Dave Cobb was the person you mentioned
yes,
before.
yes, yeah, I did.
There's like 20 people that are engineering this album, which is a half hour long. And
Hmm.
my complaint for the entire album being like, I don't know if it really does anything. Like, what are all these people doing? Are they, is this what like popular albums have for
It
engineers? Like,
is, yeah.
God damn.
Have you seen Pop Star by The Lonely Island, the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like they make fun of that how it takes like a whole village to produce like one pop album and he like mentions all the different jobs and he's like this is my turtle handler and like it's just so funny like he's got all these random jobs. So it reminded me of that 'cause yeah, there are a billion people on this album and I did notice that for a band that is presenting the album as a trio, there's also like a million other people who worked on it. But that is common for the industry, I think. Next song is Blood on the Page, which I thought this was an interesting song. I'm gonna stick by that. I'm gonna try to defend it this time, um, because this has Madison Cunningham on it, who is a great artist in her own right. Have you listened to her before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew her.
Yeah, yeah. She's got Pin It Down, Song in My Head are great tunes that I used to have in my rotation. I think their lyrics, or not their lyrics, their vocals work very well together in this song. And I like the crescendos, not crescendos. I was reading fast. Crescendos towards the middle and the end of the song. So I think this is an interesting song with good vocals and a good pairing, a good feature, an effective use of a feature artist. sometimes you'll hear an artist is featured and it's like, why? But I think she actually adds to the song here. But what do you think about Blood on the Page?
Yeah, and here's where I like rug pull you and say like I was fine with this song. Um, which is the truth. Like
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think this is the best version of whatever the songs in this album are.
Mm,
Um, which is why like in my ranting on this album, like I get to this, I'm like, this is what you were trying to do. You have like 8 songs that are just this worse versions of this song, I feel. Because I mean, this song has a lot of my complaints. It's very repetitive. It's a little slow. I don't think it's slow as a couple of the others, but still slow.
hmm
Um, but like, and that's why like I'm more harsh on the album because I feel like that's fine in a vacuum, but it's when you do
hmm
it over and over again, it's like, what are we doing here? Um, and that's why I feel like overall, and then I'll get back to the song. Like, I feel like this album is like a lot of like this type of song over and over again. Like
Yeah.
they of like 10 hypothetical albums, they took like each slow track from the that's in the middle of the album that's fine on its own and put them back to back to back to back to back to back. So I feel like this is the best version of that and would
Sure.
be a great song on a different album that's more dynamic and more lively. But it's kind of just dies here at the end on this album. That's where it's
There
not it's too late, I think.
there is a streak of slow songs in this album. I mean, yeah, Where It Belongs, Anchor, Surrender, Blood on the Page, and Carry On towards the end are all pretty slow. Um, and not to mention like Monochrome that's up in the earlier the album. So there are a lot of slow tracks on this album, so I definitely understand that. Um, but I agree this is one of the better, more effective ones. So yeah, maybe on an album that has a little more dynamic tracks, this could actually stand out more. So I definitely agree with that. We end with Carry On. And Ian, I think this song does say something interesting. I think that, well, one, I like it as a closing track, but there's more religious imagery. But I actually think I have a take on what this one is talking about. And I think it's opposing, and I think I read this online too, so I'm not taking credit for it, but it's opposing the idea of like original sin because it's saying if this is what it's like to be unholy, I think he's like saying he's okay with that. There's no evil in a child's eyes. I'll take this hearsay over your hypocrisy. Um, I think it's actually taking some sort of stand here in this song versus maybe what you were saying earlier when it's like not being super intentional with his lyrics. So I like this song and I think it's interesting if that is what they're trying to do.
Maybe. I
Yeah,
like look, like I don't disagree that these songs are trying to make points. I
sure.
just think that they stop short of actually doing it.
hmm
Um, and I think this is an example where I I'm not as well versed in Mumford and or Marcus Mumford maybe specifically. I don't know who is the primary songwriter for this group. I always just assume it's Marcus, but who knows?
I also
Um,
assume that, but maybe I'm wrong.
um, that there's two verses that look like they might be saying something and then it
hmm
just stops and then it just repeats carry on over and over and over again for like a minute and then the album ends like
hmm
I don't know like maybe it's saying something
Yeah.
and I just like you have to make the point like that I feel like this album just dances around it um like I mean if you want to give a go at looking at these first two verses um it's just a lot of this a lot of you
hmm
I don't know what without any broader context
Who
we're
you or
supposed to
what
do
this
as
is.
consumers. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shoot, I just lost my notes. I gotta go back to that. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Where are they? But anyways, that's the end of the album. Ian, I have great news for you. You're gonna love this. Prize Fighter, Mumford and Sons' sixth studio album, is set for release on February
Yeah.
13th,
Well, so yeah.
2026.
Okay. here, now that we're done with the songs, here's my overall take.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like there is a point somewhere, and the album never gets there, so who knows if we're correct. I think this album stops short of making any interesting points,
Hmm.
which is amplified by the fact that it's mostly slow songs that are repetitive. Um, I think the best way to put it is from Phil Mongredian's review at The Guardian,
Hmm.
where he called this album very self-indulgent, which is kind of what I was feeling while listening.
Hmm.
Marcus knows what these songs are about. No one else does, at least not unless you're like a more Mumford and Sons fan that we are.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I just feel like I don't know if this album really accomplishes anything. Like they said that the intent on this album was to take listeners where back to where it all began, where the quote from their press release was they were feeling restless to get going, relieved and excited. I don't think that album addresses any of that. So I don't know what the point was of all these songs.
Mm.
Reviews for this album praise its creativity and lyrical depth, which I couldn't find anywhere. I just don't
Yeah.
know if there I don't know how you can call this album lyrically deep. Um, and like you said, they have another album coming out in 2 months, and let's hope that that's the one that has maybe more some creative juice.
Well, that album is was co-produced with Aaron Dessner. And it features artists like Chris Stapleton, Hosier, Gracie Abrams.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it seems like we got like the stuff that wasn't good enough to be on the better album is what I
we'll
feel
see.
like.
We should definitely cover it when it comes out because I'd love to go back and hear if your opinion has evolved on kind of where Mumford and Sons is at right now. Because I know that, like you said earlier, like you listened to them in the past, you've enjoyed their music. You're just looking at this from a critical perspective, and I completely respect that. I think that there's something to be said about the simplicity of it. I liked it. I'm excited to hear their next album, see how it differs from this album. Their lead singer single Rubber Band Man with Hoser was released at the end of October, and that's actually a pretty good song. So check that one out. I really enjoy it. Anything else to say on Mumford and Sons or Rushmere before we head out today?
No, I'm glad that we're disagreeing a little bit. We have at
I
least
know.
some stakes. And I want to reiterate after all this, I like Marcus Mumford. I've been listening to his live cover of with Trombone Shorty. Um, crap, I forget. A House of the Rising Sun with Trombone Shorty. It's really
Mm.
good. I like Marcus Mumford. I like Mumford and Sons. I was excited to listen to this album, and I'm not excited about it anymore. But maybe I'll be excited about Prize Fighter. We'll see in 60 days.
Yeah, I'm happy. 24 episodes in, and we actually have a differing opinion for once. So it's good that we've come to this. That's a sign of maturity and growth on this podcast, not being afraid to share our actual thoughts on the music and giving your honest take. So I'm glad that we had this discussion today on Rushmere, and we'll be back soon on Old Moon Radio. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and let us know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with Ian? Do you agree with me? What do you think of this album? Let us know. All right, take care.